Hilary, thank you very much, and for your team for inviting me to come along and run this short webinar today for Aston University. We've been to Aston University pretty much every year, either career fairs or skill sessions or fresher fairs, that kind of thing. So until things return to normal, we've been running several webinars like this, and I think this is the second one. So delighted to be here. Welcome to everyone who's come along today. I'd love to know what courses you're studying when you graduate and things like that. If you wouldn't mind just putting that into the chat box, just gives me an idea of who's in the room, and so I can make sure that I'm giving you exactly what you're looking for from this 30-minute webinar. Now, it is being recorded, so you can go back and have a look at this webinar, and also there's the opportunity to ask questions as you go along or at the end. So, you know, if there's anything you want clarity on, there's something specific you're interested in, then I'm more than happy to help you. So, yeah, if you can start putting in your degree subjects, I'm always interested. We've got a chemical engineer, we've got a marketing and strategy student, we've got a pharmaceutical science student, we've got a business and maths, a finance student. So this is all very interesting to see who's in the room. So let me introduce myself as well. So if you haven't heard of us, the GRB Group, or Graduate Recruitment Bureau, is something that I set up back in 1997 with a friend of mine when we graduated in business studies from Brighton University. So we've been going for 25 years, and the GRB Group has grown to become the go-to platform for high caliber university students like you guys, recent graduates, alumni, and also employers who are looking for those individuals. We have over 50 staff. We're based in Brighton, and we have over 2,000 clients, companies across all sectors and industry sizes. So some of our clients you will definitely have heard of: Amazon, IBM, Unilever, and Ocado, but also several fast-growing SMEs, or small to medium enterprises. So these kind of organizations maybe aren't so well known, but they are growing. They need graduates, and they really struggle. So we work with hundreds of these fast-growing businesses all over the UK. And in that time, our recruitment experts have successfully matched over 8,000 graduates with full-time graduate or executive level jobs. I'll give you a quick overview to the GRB Group. So the Graduate Recruitment Bureau in the top left there, that's our main business. So we're a recruitment consultancy, and we work across different sectors, practically every sector you can imagine. So we have a team of 50 staff, and they're working with students and graduates right now, helping them with their CVs, their interview preparation or assessment centres, and also matching them up with employers that are looking for graduates. And this happens all throughout the whole year. So they're very busy right now. We've definitely seen a bounce back in activity. So that's our main business. There are a few other divisions within the GRB Group. The newest one is Graduate Mentor. Now, we set this up last year, and this is designed as a free one-to-one mentoring platform, okay? But for students particularly from diverse, underrepresented or disadvantaged groups. So you can go on that platform, you can search for mentors from organizations like Facebook, Google, Amazon recently have joined us, the Royal Ordnance Survey, the British Army, Coca-Cola. There's some really good mentors on there who've all kindly volunteered to connect with you on Zoom or MS Teams and talk about your career, help with your CV, prepare for interviews, get insights into different industry sectors. So that's a brand new division GRB launched last year. It's entirely free, so I'd encourage you, if you're interested, to go on there and search for mentors and book a session. Now, we also have another division called Student Startup. So this might interest some of you in the room today who might want to set up your own business. So we have a support community there with other entrepreneurs that you can speak to about how you could set up your own business. So that's called Student Startup. Rising Stars, this is a initiative we've been running for about 10 years now, where we showcase the 50 top final year students around the UK. Okay, so these are students that our team has spoken to, and not only are they academically very, very good, but they've also got something a bit extra that makes them stand out from their colleagues. So we call them Rising Stars, and we profile them on our website, and it gives employers an idea what the caliber of our database is like. So Rising Stars is on our website as of now. As you can imagine, as a recruitment consultancy, we're very active on LinkedIn. So you can find me, all my colleagues are on there, and we also post jobs from time to time on LinkedIn. So we're very, very busy on there. We also appreciate a lot of graduates recently have wanted to stay on at university to do a master's. So we set up a new division called the Postgraduate Agency, and we're helping graduates who are looking to stay either in this country or perhaps go to Australia and actually do a postgraduate course. So that's a brand new division we set up last year. Now, we also have two other divisions that help graduates with up to 5 years professional experience. Now, these are for mainly numerate graduates or IT graduates who are looking for maybe the second or third job. So down the line, we are also able to help certain graduates who've now got up to 5 years experience. And that's kind of the direction of our business. We are moving up the chain, so to speak, to help graduates who are looking for their second or third job. So that's a quick overview to what the GRB Group looks like in 2021. Right, so let's start. 2020, this is just a small selection of headlines that I picked out from the press. Now, none of it really very, very good. You know, it was very tough for a lot of people. People were made redundant, people were getting very, very ill, and it really put the brakes on the economy as well. So for graduates entering the market, the timing wasn't great. You can see from some of these headlines, the first one there in the Financial Times, what are the job prospects for the class of 2020? Young and low-skilled hit hardest as coronavirus damps hopes for the future. The young remain in education as virus takes its toll on the jobs market. And you can see a few headlines there from what the economy was showing us. You know, it was shrinking. The government were doing their best to bail out the economy by injecting £350 billion worth of money, and lots and lots of different things. So, you know, it was a horrible time, horrible time. And well, for those students who were at university, it wasn't great either, having to study remotely, feeling very isolated, missing out on lots of things at university. So, needless to say, 2020 is behind us, and we can look forward to brighter things, certainly from what we're seeing. So, this year, the headlines are a lot better, okay? We're still not out of it. We're still not where we should be before we went into the pandemic, but we've definitely bounced back. And you can see from the top left there was a BBC report showing that vacancies are a record high. 1.1 million vacancies. That's phenomenal. And this is from a very good source, the Office for National Statistics. They will comb lots of different data sources to find out the number of job advertisements there are. So that's extremely encouraging. 1.1 million job vacancies. Also, more than half of UK firms plan to hire new staff. That's very good. Confidence is returning. Companies are starting to prioritise recruiting people to make up for those that they had to make redundant. They're noticing projects are coming in thick and fast, and certain sectors are doing extremely well. White-collar staff shortages drive a fierce war for talent. So not only are companies looking, but they're struggling to find these individuals. So it's a really good time to be graduating right now. because there are a lot of professional organisations who are looking for early talent to inject into their organisations, and they're really struggling to find those individuals. So they're using your career service, they're advertising on job boards, they're using recruitment consultancies like GRB. So things have definitely improved. Another headline there: hiring rates are rising above pre-COVID levels for some sectors. So we're seeing growth in fintech, cybersecurity, anything involving digital transformation or moving items, so logistics, transport, supply chain, things like that. Certain sectors are really rebounding very, very quickly. We also noticed that the government have done some good things to support the economy. So they had the Kickstart scheme designed for those individuals who've been claiming universal credit. 19,000 jobs. So that's brilliant news for young people who are really, really struggling as a result of the pandemic. The Chancellor also extended the furlough scheme, which made a huge difference to individuals worried that they may be made redundant. And that came to an end recently, and we didn't see the level of redundancies that a lot of people were expecting, which is good news. A lot of employers have retained those individuals and put them back on their full salaries. So it's overall, the economy has bounced back. We've certainly noticed this since February. And as I say, some sectors are really struggling to find individuals, and it's good news for those entering the job market either now or next summer. Now, this webinar is how to put 2020 on your CV, because inevitably at interview you'll be asked, what did you do during lockdown? Or how did the pandemic affect your career plans? So you've got to turn any negatives into a positive, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And we're speaking to students and graduates all the time about this subject, because it can be quite challenging, because it was a very hard time. There weren't as many internships or placement opportunities, or being able to work in restaurants, shops or bars that were all locked down. So we're advising students and graduates, you know what, there are some positives, and there's some things you can put on your CV to stand out. Now, the first thing I did to prepare for this seminar was to look at the Institute of Student Employers. Now, this is an organisation that represents about 700 graduate employers, some very big companies that you will definitely have heard of, the big four accountancy firms, investment banks, law firms, engineering organisations, the really, really big players, plus a lot of career services are members as well, and quite a few SMEs. So it gives you a good idea about what the industry is thinking. So the first thing to note is a recent survey that they put out a few months ago asked their members, what skills and attributes do you want from graduates? Okay, and this is what they're saying. So the number one skill or attribute they are looking for right now is teamwork. So you will need to think about what you can put on your CV that demonstrates teamwork. So there's some easy things. I imagine you have done lots of project work. If you're doing a chemical engineering degree, a pharmaceutical science, postgraduate course, finance, business or maths, there will certainly be elements within your course where you've had project work, definitely. So think of good examples of where you've demonstrated you're a team player. What role did you play? Have you got any evidence of your contribution, and what did it actually have an effect on the outcome? That's the key. Rather than just saying, I am a team player, you need to give evidence. So I'd strongly consider what you put on your CV demonstrates that you have teamwork. Not only that, there's a big long list here, okay? So if we just concentrate on the top 3 skills, the next one is interpersonal skills. So employers want to see that you can work with lots of different people. So you'll have plenty of opportunity on your course to demonstrate that, but also anything else you've done outside of your studies. Working, getting involved with student societies, volunteering, anything you do on the internet that you might have a side hustle or something or other will be able to demonstrate your interpersonal skills. So if you're not sure about those, speak to your career service. They'll also be able to help you. But it's really, really key, and it's the second skill or attribute that employers are looking for right now, and you do need to get that across on your CV. Now, the third one is listening. Okay, so this is communication skills again, really, but that's a very underrated skill, I think. Listening is really, really hard because in organizations, they will be giving you instructions, work that involves organizing projects, liaising with other people. You need to show that you get it, that you understand what you're being told, and they don't have to repeat themselves or something gets miscommunicated. So it's funny, but listening is a really, really important skill, and something that if you have the opportunity at university to really put yourself in situations where you really need to understand maybe a complex situation, that would be a good example that you could put on your CV to show that you are a very, very good listener. Now, you can go through this slide. I'm happy to share the full report with you if you want, but I think this is a really good starting point about what you put on your CV. So evidence of team working, evidence of interpersonal skills, evidence of listening are the top three according to the Institute of Student Employers. Now, there's some other good news as well. Firms are saying they are prioritizing diversity, okay? They are aware that they need to improve the diversity within their organizations. Now, these are very big companies that are taking this extremely seriously. So this is great news. Lots of big employers are being way more inclusive. Lots were inclusive before the pandemic, but this has really crept up the list of their priorities. So they're considering gender, ethnicity, social class and social mobility, disability, LGBTQ+, and neurodiversity. So that gives you an idea of where employers are coming from right now. They really value students and graduates from these backgrounds, and they're taking it very, very seriously. So I just thought I'd throw that in there as well. I know Aston has a high diversity population, and I think it's great news. So again, that's in the Institute of Student Employers report. If you do want a copy of that, there's lots more useful information as a graduate job seeker to really understand what employers are thinking of right now. So my advice. So I spoke to a lot of our team who are working with students and graduates who've done business, who have done finance, science or engineering courses to help them best stand out and really think about what happened in 2020 and how to flip that into a positive. Okay, so I'm going to go through my advice, which is basically what I found from my colleagues who've been working with students and graduates lately. So I think the first thing is you graduated in a pandemic or are studying during a lockdown. I think that is an achievement right there in itself. So, we're encouraging a lot of students and graduates to just remind themselves about that, because that's taken it out of a lot of people. And, you can quite easily get into a negative mindset with what we've been through. But I think we need to remind you that having studied or graduated in a pandemic, with all the effects that it's had on your personal lives, your studying, and your career prospects, that this in itself is an amazing achievement. Secondly, because of that, I think you can demonstrate resilience and grit. Okay, you have come through a situation that generations before have not had to go through. When you signed up for your degree, you had no idea this was going to happen, and you've come through it, and you're still studying and hopefully going to graduate with a fantastic degree from Aston University. So, that demonstrates that you have got resilience. You've come through it. You haven't bailed. You haven't dropped out. You've stayed the course, and that shows a lot of grit. Employers love that. And in fact, if you look further down that list of skills and attributes, resilience and grit, or in other words, that will be on the list as well. They like people who can stick it out. And I think that's something you can demonstrate that other graduates from other years may not have found it as easy to show. But you'll have plenty of examples, how you've had barriers, how you've had challenges during 2020, and what you've done to overcome it. So just be thinking about that when you're putting your CV together. Number 3, we've all had time to reflect. We've been studying from home or working from home. You've been isolated, away from family, friends, and it has been an opportunity to think, what do I want to do when I graduate? It might have been something different before the pandemic, but it might not. It might have just confirmed what you want to do. Either way, 2020 has given a lot of people an idea to reflect on themselves and to have a stronger opinion about where they want to go in their lives. And I think that's a positive thing. We've been forced into this situation, but if you look at it, a lot of people are now coming out of this situation more focused on the right career than ever before. So employers will really see that in the way you present yourself on your CV. They will see that you are keen, that you're focused, and you're more set on the idea of a particular career than before. So, I think this period has really, really helped us move forward. And I think that's very, very important to mention. Now, you will have a degree and a very unique skill set. We're advising students and graduates, think about all the skills you will have acquired over the 3 or 4 years at university, okay? So your degree helps you stand out from non-graduates, first of all. Don't forget, not everyone goes to university. So, having done your degree, by the time you graduate, will put you in a stronger position, number 1. Number 2, you'll also have a skill set that's unique to you, okay? No one has the same academic qualifications as you, and the skill set that you will have acquired from work experience, from volunteering, from any extracurricular activity that you will have done. The trick is to get to work on making the best CV you can, okay? Now, whilst things have bounced back, the economy is good, they do want graduates, it's still very competitive, okay? You will be up against graduates from 2020 who really struggled. So you can't be complacent. You still need to make sure that you do have the best CV that you possibly can. And I run lots of other workshops on how you can stand out with your CV. And these have all been recorded, and there's advice, there's templates, all on GRB's website if you want to go down that route and really get to work on your CV. But in terms of how to make 2020 look good, I think we just need to remind yourselves that your skill set is unique, and the trick is how to make it really stand out on your CV. Now, you've already shown that you can study remotely, okay? So working from home hopefully won't be a problem. Now, I know it's not ideal for everyone. Some people have struggled with it. It can be very isolating. Wi-Fi can let you down, or you might be in a shared house. It's not easy, but you've managed to study remotely. And I think that's now developed new skills that employers now are actually looking for. Now they're all talking about hybrid working. I mean, we're placing graduates who will be working from home and also working in the office. So, you've done that, no problem. It's actually a positive. So, you might have taken it for granted. Oh, You know, it wasn't easy. Is it worth talking about? Absolutely. Employers will want to see that you can actually be productive when you're not at university, when you're not going to be in the workplace. So you can show evidence for that. And it's very, very important to get that on your CV, that you are able to work potentially anywhere. And that in itself will open you up to lots of different employers, more so than before the pandemic. You know, employers outside of the UK will now start to be thinking, well, if I can hire someone who can work anywhere, perhaps I can hire someone from the UK. So, you know, the job market has changed. It's completely altered. And that's a very good thing for graduates now. They can start thinking beyond one country. They could even start approaching other recruiters abroad and say, you know what, I've got the skill set, I can work remotely. It's very, very interesting development that we're seeing more and more. Now, 2020 definitely saw an increase in people suffering with more mental health, unsurprisingly. You know, it threw a lot of people. It wasn't great for you know, meeting people. You know, you couldn't see family or support network, friends, relatives. Really, really hard. And a lot of people have suffered. There's no two ways about it. There's lots of evidence to show mental health has really suffered. But because of that, people are more aware of it, and they're more accepting that people will have had challenges or barriers, and there are far more support networks out there for those that found it very, very hard. If you did cope, then that's wonderful. But for a lot of people, it wasn't easy. But whatever the situation, you can be a lot stronger now. We can put this all behind us. Now we're in 2021. And I think that's really, really encouraging. That a lot of people have had to deal with very, very hard situations. And now there's a lot more support functions to help you. So use them. If you are struggling, use these government organizations or private organizations that are out there to help individuals suffering with mental health. So, you know, that's a positive. There are far more easier ways to get help now if you're struggling. Now, I imagine you pivoted. So this means you adapted, okay? You perhaps realized that you needed to do extra things to keep your CV current and fresh during lockdown. You may have took online learning courses. Now, I know certain universities, and Aston may be included, can offer online learning courses in addition to your degree. But I know for a fact that Harvard or other universities or LinkedIn have other learning courses that are very, very easy to access remotely. So, you know, you pivoted, you thought differently. How can I learn if I'm stuck at home? So there are online learning courses. And if you aren't already looking into those, I'd strongly suggest you look at those that are really going to help your skill set. So you've thought outside the box, been creative, and you've got stuff done, basically. Nothing's held you back. So employers love that adaptability. And again, if you look on that list, one of the skills or attributes will definitely be adaptability. And you can show this from the changes you made during 2020 to keep moving forward, to keep learning, keep that momentum going. I imagine there will be knockbacks, and it may have taken you longer to figure that out. Doesn't matter. The fact is that you're adaptable and you move forward. And that's a really, really strong skill in the modern workplace. Okay, I think the other thing to mention is, you know, if you do not want to go into work straight after graduating, you do have other options. So, you know, there is the opportunity to stay at university. Now, we know a lot of graduates during recessions previously have said, you know what, the jobs aren't there for me, or I'd just like to ride this out, or, you know what, I was half thinking about it, I'm definitely going to do it this time. You could stay at university and do a postgraduate course. It's not a bad option. Of course, it's quite expensive to do that, and it is time out of the workplace. But if you weigh up the pros and cons, that could be an option for you to stay at university. I know Brexit has made this a little bit more complicated. and some other countries are still in lockdown, but there may be the opportunity to go abroad. You could discover new opportunities in another country. So, you know, that there could be that option as well to look overseas to start your career. And finally, you may have started something in 2020 as a sideline to make some money. Why not start your own business? So many businesses are started during recessions. And I think that's another thing that 2020 has led to, is a lot more people who started their own business. So some of them will be made redundant and use that money to start their business. But a heck of a lot of people are graduates who've decided, you know, now's the best time. I've got very low commitments. You know, I've got a few ideas I'd like to set up. Let's start up a business. I mean, this is what I did with a colleague a few years after graduating. So I'm a big advocate of entrepreneurialism, and I think if you want, you can definitely start your own business if you've got the wherewithal, the funding, the ideas, the drive, the ambition to do that. So my final point there is you do have other options. So I think that's how you can present 2020 on your CV as a positive. You know, despite the knockbacks, the challenges, the barriers, it's actually meant as some things that are more positive, and that sets you apart from other graduates, definitely. And here are just some of my examples. So I do hope you found that useful. Now, one final warning is your efforts of putting your CV together and making it look absolutely brilliant will totally be wasted if you don't do the following. Now, again, this is another survey by the Institute of Student Employers. This time about 232 big graduate employers said, in answer to the question, what is the most common reason that stops students from getting the jobs they applied for? Okay, this is super important. I'd hate for you to do all this work, improve your CV, get a brilliant covering letter, and then send it out and then not have any response. There's no reason why you shouldn't if you follow what they're saying here. So the number one thing is the application wasn't tailored to the role. Super important. Over 50% of 232 employers, so you know, over 120 employers actually said if you don't tailor your application for the role, you might not get through the first stage. So what do they mean by that? Well, look at the job advertisement. What skills are they looking for? Chances are they will explain quite clearly the skills they're looking for. You need to reflect that in your CV. Okay? So pay close attention to the job advert, the job specification. Take a look on LinkedIn, look at the graduates that they've hired before, look at their skill sets. What do they go for? And make sure your CV is tailored and your application form is geared to that particular role. And you'll have to do that for the next role and the role after that. But that will hopefully give you a much better chance of getting through. So they also talk about poorly written applications. You know, it is hard. You've got to put a lot of effort into it. But if you do it correctly, you'll get through the application process. Another one, poor performance at interview. A lot of interviews are carried out remotely. You know, it's quite daunting having interviews over Zoom. So practice with your friends or relatives. Do mock interviews and really nail doing interviews because the chances are you have to do it over Zoom or something like that. Other things they mention are poor performance in tests, poor performance in assessment centres. They don't meet the essential requirements, so you know, read the job ad. Do not apply if you do not meet their requirements. Lack of work experience. You do not meet enough of the desirable requirements. Spelling and grammatical errors, should be able to sort those out. Applying late, missing a covering letter, things like that. So really important to make sure that you read the job advertisement, find out as much as possible about the employer before you put pen to paper, before you do your CV, before you apply for the job, before you go for an interview. Be prepared, because all your efforts will be wasted if you don't do this final bit of homework, basically, to nail that job. Thank you very much for your time. If you do have any questions, by all means, now's your opportunity. Feel free to email me. I can help you with your CV. My phone number's there. I'm on Twitter. I'm also on LinkedIn. So I'm more than happy to take any questions from you right now. Thank you, Hilary.